Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is episode 23 of High Street Sports. My name is Chris. This is John Ross. We've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. College football, as we mentioned last week, is heating up, and the NFL has a lot of intrigue going on right now as well. John Ross, what's going on, man? How are you doing? You had a good Sunday last week. Care to expound?
Oh, what a range of emotions I went through in 5 minutes, which can only be described as the Carolina Panthers experience. They got their first dub. They drive down the field at the end of the game. They have a 33-yard field goal, encroachment penalty, 28-yard field goal. Then they have the same guy have another encroachment, but he also got a personal foul because they realized he was trying to stop the clock and psych the kicker out. And I'm just sitting there thinking, we're going to miss this kick, and we're going to be 0-7. But Eddie Pinheiro hit it. Panthers got the first win. Bryce had a really good game. He keeps getting better every week. We're here. College football playoff rankings are out. Let's get into it. I'm excited.
As you heard, college football playoff rankings are out, so we'll have a lot to talk about in just a little bit. But we will start, as usual, with our top 25 preview here. So we'll move, through some of this pretty quickly. Starting off with number 25, Air Force versus Army. Air Force, stands pat in the top 25. They face Army, another armed forces matchup here. What do you think about Air Force versus Army?
Hey, it's Air Force minus 18.5. I hate to see that for Air Force with the college football playoff rankings coming out. They go from 17 or 18 dropped all the way to 25. But these armed forces matchups are always pretty tight. So I think Air Force will win, but I don't think they'll cover that minus 18.5.
Yeah, these games are usually, pretty ugly with the offenses that are run usually by these armed forces academies. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, and as you mentioned, it does kind of suck for some teams to be, as high as they are in the AP poll, and then for the college football playoff rankings to come out and kind of take over at this time of year. Nonetheless, Air Force should be proud of being ranked in the first college football playoff rankings. So we'll see what happens there. Moving up the list, number 24, Tulane at unranked East Carolina. What do you think about Tulane and ECU?
If you are gambling, folks, watching this podcast, I would bet your house, if you have one, your car, everything you own on Tulane winning this game, covering. ECU up there in the running for the worst team in college football. They are absolutely pitiful to watch. And I haven't watched a game in the past 3 weeks. That's how bad that's how ugly it is. Yeah. Green Wave, a humongous in Greenville, North Carolina.
It's tough scenes for the Pirates out there in Greenville.
Minus 17 is generous.
Yeah, it's I did not know that number. However, I would agree with you, even in the daunting Dowdy Ficklin Stadium, which might not be very daunting these days. They say no quarter.
A third of it full.
They say no quarter in Greenville. However, this year there's much quarter.
There's a lot of quarter. Quarter is not in short. It's not in short supply.
There is a surplus of quarter in Greenville. Yeah, tough scenes in Greenville, but number 24 Tulane looks to pick up another win there. Moving on up, number 21 Kansas at Iowa State. Kansas, they look to be a tough damn football team over there in Jayhawk land. Not giving way to basketball season just yet. What do you think about Kansas at Iowa State?
Yeah, Kansas doing all this too without Jalen Daniels, their star quarterback who's out for the season. And they're in the running for the Big 12 championship still, and they're at Iowa State, like you said. But Iowa State is favored actually by 2.5 points. But I take the Jayhawks to keep riding the momentum and get the dub here.
Yeah, I would think so too. Iowa State being favored in that one is a little bit of a head scratcher to me.
I think they're like 5-3 or something.
Yeah, that's interesting over a ranked team. I mean, albeit at Iowa State, but Kansas has some momentum. They look to keep that rolling. Number 19, UCLA at Arizona. As we mentioned a couple weeks ago, Arizona played some teams in the Pac-12 pretty tough in the recent weeks. What do you think about UCLA at Arizona?
UCLA is favored -3 in this one. I'm actually shocked by that because Arizona's given a lot of teams some trouble past few weeks, beating Oregon State last week and beating Washington State the week before that. Either the week before that or 2 weeks prior to that. So, yeah, give me Arizona in this one being at home. I think they're going to keep being a tough out for all these teams. I think they get the win here.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, Arizona's turnaround after the first couple of weeks. They did not look like a good football team in the early going. But, I mean, again, I think everybody now is kind of on board tooting the Pac-12 horn in their last season. But that's an interesting league in their last year, and probably the league with the most parity in it at the moment. So should be another interesting Pac-12 matchup there. We'll move up the list here and get to another Pac-12 matchup. Number 18, Utah versus Arizona State. Utah coming off of, pretty disappointing week last week. They get boat raced, and, that kind of puts a damper on Utah. But, a tough team, resilient team, doing it with a lot of injury and without their starting quarterback. What do you think about Utah versus Arizona State?
Yeah, it sucks for Utah. They had College Game Day there last weekend. Electric atmosphere, too, there in Salt Lake City. But, yeah, it sucks for them. They got blown out at home by a really good Oregon team. But, yeah, I think they bounced back this week. They're -11. I think they'll win this and cover at home.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there, and also agree with you, man. That atmosphere from Friday to through the game on Saturday was unbelievable. Pat McAfee's show had a lot of guys on it. Cam Rising and Steve Smith both made an appearance on the Pat McAfee show. Game day was electric. I think they showed the viewership numbers for game day last week, and it was unbelievable. So shout out to Pat McAfee and College Game Day. You chuckled. What'd you got there?
I'm just blown away that Pat and the boys could talk about soaking on Disney-owned ESPN.
I'm telling you, dude, the Pat McAfee effect at ESPN is real. And I saw an interesting thing on Twitter earlier about, people saying that McAfee's time at ESPN is numbered already. And it's like, bro, how could you even come to that conclusion?
That was one of the better College Game Days for signs too, especially the one with AJ Hawk that said certified soaker, big if true. And the best one was the one that said Michigan stole my other sign.
I did see that. That's pretty good. Interesting developments there too, but we'll save that conversation for another
Tune
pod.
into episode 22 of High Street Sports to get Chris and Vince's thoughts on that.
It is also its own clip on the channel here, so if you don't want to move very far, you don't have to. So go check that out. And as that develops, we will also have more of that here on High Street Sports as well. So we'll keep an eye on that and kind of bring that to you as that develops. Especially late in the season, that's going to be a big, big item to get through for the Big Ten, to see if the Big Ten takes any action there. But anyways, where were we? Utah. So, okay, number 17, Tennessee versus UConn. Should not be any issue for the Vols there. Yeah, Vols should win that one in a matchup against a stinker. Moving on up, number 16, Oregon State at Colorado. Oregon State, as we mentioned, lost a tough one. So, that kind of puts the brakes on their season, but not to overshadow the play that DJ Uiagalelei has had since he's gone out there. They go to Colorado. Colorado needs a big win, and they could get one here. What do you think about Oregon State at the Buffs?
Yeah, like you said, Oregon State coming off a loss, Colorado coming off a loss to UCLA. Shedeur got sacked, I think, 7 or 8 times in that game. Yeah, Colorado searching for a big win here. They're 4-4. They could potentially go under 500 right here, and they're fighting for bowl eligibility right now. Beavs are favored -13.5. Oregon State's got a really, really strong defense, so give me the Beavs in this one and to cover that too. I think they're going to push it. I think Shedeur is going to be in for a rough day again. Yeah,
I mean, it's again, we were high on Colorado to start. I think in part because of the fun that they were having and winning the games the way they were. But again, they have glaring needs on that team, and something that Coach Prime will have to address in the offseason. But yeah, they're fighting for bowl eligibility, and they've got a ranked opponent coming to their home stadium. So hopefully they can feed off the crowd and maybe get a big ranked win there in Colorado. Moving on up, number 15, Notre Dame at Clemson. Clemson really, really, really struggling. Dabo Swinney is going off on fans on the radio. It's pretty scary down there in Tigerland, and they have a pretty good Notre Dame squad coming to Death Valley. What do you think about the Irish and Tigers?
The fake Death Valley, but. Yeah, give me the Irish in this one. I don't like what I'm seeing out of Clemson right now. They just look like the wheels are falling off. They're 4-4 now. This would be the first time could potentially be the first time Clemson's under 500 in a very long time. And Notre Dame's looking good right now. Back-to-back wins after that little gauntlet they went through. But yeah, give me the Irish in this one. They're favored by 3. Yeah, give me that.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame will win this game as well. Clemson is at a bit of a crossroads here, and fans are. I can't believe that kid on that radio show. Why are you getting paid? What was it, $11 million to go 4-4? And Dabo clearly was thinking about that response for a while because he kind of unloaded on that kid, but. Yeah, we'll see. It's going to take a lot to turn that Clemson program around, and it's not going to happen this year, unfortunately. So look for Notre Dame to go into Clemson, South Carolina, and get a win this weekend. Moving on up, number 13, Louisville versus Virginia Tech. Louisville's a team that is kind of quietly hanging around, and as this ACC schedule winds down here, and things, the dust begins to settle, and things work themselves out. Louisville is positioning themselves pretty well at the moment. What do you think about the Cards at the Hokies?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Louisville's number 2 in the ACC right now. So, if the season ended today, they'd play Florida State in the championship game. Shut out a good Duke team last week at home, and then they've got Virginia Tech at home this week. Virginia Tech, not what we're used to seeing from them, kind of a shell of their former selves right now. So, yeah, give me the Cardinals in this one at home.
Yeah, and I was wrong. That game is at Louisville. So Louisville welcomes Virginia Tech into town. Yeah, I mean, Louisville, like I said, they've put themselves in a pretty good position, and they look to keep that going and potentially, position themselves squarely in that college football playoff conversation when it matters there. So big one for Louisville. Number 11, Penn State at Maryland. Maryland has slid down, with that loss record since playing Ohio State. Penn State is in search of a impressive road win. What do you think about the Nittany Lions versus the Turtles?
Yeah, Penn State struggled last week against a bad Indiana team. Definitely reeling after that loss in Columbus. Defense did its part, and offense looked better, obviously, against a very, very worse defense than they played in Ohio State. But yeah, and Maryland really searching for a win, lost 3 in a row since starting the year, 5-0. But yeah, this one being at Maryland, give me this as the High Street Sports upset of the week. I'm gonna take the Terps at home. Penn State only favorite 8.5. Give me the Terps.
Yeah, Drew Aller is I don't know what has happened to Drew, but since that Ohio State game, he has not looked comfortable throwing the ball at all. So that's a pretty important game for Penn State. Pretty important game for Maryland. So we'll see what happens there. I think I'll give the edge to Penn State. I still think top to bottom they're the better team there with a better defense. So hopefully that defense can drag them to a win on the road. But moving on up, number 10, Ole Miss versus Texas A&M. Ole Miss, again, a team that is sitting squarely there in the top 10. They still have some dreaming to do. They would need a lot of help. But Ole Miss versus A&M, what do you think?
Oh yeah, Ole Miss, like you said, they're sitting pretty right now at home this week against a pretty decent A&M team. They've got a really good defense, but Rebs are -3 at home. Hope seeing if they don't get caught looking ahead to Georgia next week. But yeah, give me Ole Miss in this one to get the win.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I think Ole Miss takes care of that one at home. Moving on up, number 9, Oklahoma at number 22, Oklahoma State. Bit of a rivalry game here. Oklahoma coming off of a loss this past weekend. What do you think about the Sooners and Pokes?
Yeah, last Bedlam game for a while probably with Oklahoma moving to the SEC. So yeah, Oklahoma really dropped a bad one last week to Kansas. Kind of put a nail in their nail in the coffin for their college football playoff hopes and that being in that conference. And Oklahoma State quietly 6-2, started out pretty rough, but they crept up there. Give me the Pokes at home in the last Bedlam game. Give me Mike Gundy and that immaculate mullet getting the dub and sending Oklahoma to the SEC.
I love it. I love that. And as you mentioned, Oklahoma kind of a slow burn to start the season, but here they are ranked at number 22, and they face an Oklahoma team reeling after a loss. This one is at Oklahoma State, so big opportunity there for Coach Gundy to get that win. So we'll see what happens in that one. Moving on up, probably if I had to guess, I'm looking at it. There's another one that's pretty big too. But in my opinion,
this is the biggest game of the week.
Probably the game of the week. Number 8, Alabama versus number 14, LSU. Everything at stake here for both of these teams. I think a loss for either one of them knocks them completely out of any college football playoff discussion, and it would severely hurt the SEC title game hopes for both of these teams. What do you think about Bama versus the Tigers?
Yeah, massive game, like you said, for both teams. Bama's favored by 3 in Tuscaloosa. Actually, the lowest Bama's been favored against LSU since 2000, I believe, 8 in Baton Rouge, or 2008, 2011, regardless. A very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then a lot at stake in the SEC West for this. I'm sure Ole Miss will be paying attention to this game because this could vault them into number 1 in the SEC West. But yeah, LSU coming into this one. Both teams had a bye last week. LSU dealing with some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Mekhi Wingo, their stud defensive tackle, is ruled out. He had surgery this week. He's going to be out for the rest of the regular season. And Zy Alexander, argue LSU's best cornerback, is going to be out for this game, possibly next. So a blow to already kind of weak secondary. But I just got a good feeling about this one. Give me, if you ask me between who would I take, it's who's got the better quarterback, and give me Jaden Daniels over Jalen Milroe. I think even without Mekhi Wingo, I think LSU's defense, Bama's offensive line, I think is up there with the most sacks allowed in the SEC. Their freshman left tackle has given up the most sacks of any offensive lineman in the SEC. So I'm lining Harold Perkins up out there on the edge as much as I can and have him spy Jalen Milroe. Just stop the run and don't get the deep shots. That's Bama's bread and butter. And Jane Daniels, do what you do. And you got Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas out there and Logan Diggs in the backfield. Offense is clearly loaded, and the Tigers are going to get it done this week in Tuscaloosa.
That'd be a humongous win for LSU, and it'd be an impressive win to get at Tuscaloosa.
Impressive win too for Brian Kelly and Jaden Daniels, because Jaden Daniels would be the first quarterback since Drew Brees to be 2-0 against Nick Saban in his college career.
Wow, yeah, it's a
when
big
Saban was at Michigan State.
Yeah. It's an Alabama team who is, kind of finding their stride in the middle part of the season on offense. But as you mentioned, that offensive line leaves a little bit to be desired there. And LSU's defensive line could make that a problem for Alabama this weekend. Huge one in the SEC, and we'll get to another big one in the SEC here in a minute. But that's got a lot of implications there. So keep an eye on that one. Moving on up, number 7 Texas versus number 23 Kansas State. Kansas State, a team in the early part of the season, returned a lot of people from that team last year that won the Big 12. That season hasn't gone the way they thought it would, and Texas without Quinn Ewers, kind of struggling to figure out where to go now. What do you think about the Horns versus the Wildcats?
Yeah, Kansas State, I think they're like top 15 to start the year, and they've crept back up into the top 25. Texas, Quinn Ewers hasn't been officially ruled out, but Sark said he's still week to week, so very doubtful he plays. But this one being at Texas, I think home field advantage will win through here, and Texas will get the win.
All righty. So that brings us to what we mentioned earlier. It is college football playoff ranking season. It is getting into the thick of it in this college football season. So now that we're here at the top 6, we will talk about the college football playoffs initial rankings. So if you did not see, the college football playoff rankings came out last night. The initial rankings are as follows: Ohio State number 1, Georgia number 2, Michigan number 3, Florida State number 4, Washington 5, and Oregon 6. A lot of discussion here on who was going to be the number 1 team. I think a lot of people had that coming down to Ohio State and Georgia, just based on scheduling and wins and resume and things like that. Michigan, Michigan fans highly upset about where they fell in the first go around here. Florida State fans, as well, upset with where they're at. However, I want to preface all of what I'm about to say by saying this: the first rankings don't mean a damn thing. Okay, so before everybody gets their panties in a wad,
remember Tennessee was ranked 1 last year.
Yeah, and that does not bode
Rightfully
well
so.
for. Yeah, and that does not, no team that has started, I don't believe, in the initial college football playoff rankings at number 1 has won the college football national championship. So, yeah, let's just pump the brakes, everybody. This initial rankings don't mean anything. I think for the top 4 here, or even 5, win out and everything will take care of itself. A lot of this will shake itself out with matchups that are coming down the road here. So there's some big ones coming up. Michigan plays Penn State. Ohio State will play Michigan. Georgia will play, they have got a big one this week that we'll get to here in just a second. But curious to get your thoughts on the initial rankings. What do you think as far as where these teams fell, and, what do you see happening for the last 4 weeks of the season here?
I think they got it right. I was a little bit surprised to well, not really. Now that I think, I was a little bit. I thought the number 6 spot, it's a crapshoot. It could have gone to anybody. But yeah, Oregon and Washington. Washington, their past couple performances, I don't think helped them out. I'm sure they thought they would get in number 4. They definitely have one of the biggest wins of the year, beating Oregon. But yeah, these past few weeks they've looked really sluggish, and I think that's what dropped them 5. Big chance against a ranked team this week to get back in. To possibly move up in that discussion. Florida State, I thought everything outside of number 1 could have gone their way. Number 1, I always thought Ohio State would get it. They've got 2. You go out the rankings now, they've got 2 top 15 wins. And then Georgia, their schedule has definitely gotten harder, than what we thought it would be at this point, based on early season implications. And the Dogs are playing well right now too. And then Michigan, we're going to find out about them now that the calendar's finally flipped to November. They haven't really played anyone. They've won like they're supposed to. I mean, I'll give them credit for that. And then Florida State, they've got a really big win to start the season against LSU, who's on the up and up. They went to Clemson. I know Clemson's struggling, but they went in Clemson and beat Clemson. They beat Duke, who was ranked at the time. So, yeah, Florida State's definitely got an impressive resume too. But, yeah, I think the committee got it right.
I would agree with you there. I do think that the committee –
it's throwing darts at a board to start for the first ranking.
Yeah, I think the committee got it right. Obviously, Ohio State has the 2 most impressive wins out of any team thus far this season, winning at Notre Dame, who was number 9 at the time, and beating Penn State at home, who was number 7 at the time. And then, just here, Georgia's best win was number 20, Kentucky at home in Georgia. Michigan's best win to date right now is Rutgers. And I think if you go back and look at Rutgers is 6-2, so there's something to be said about that. that game was a game that Michigan was, only up 14-7 at halftime and ended up winning that game, I think 31-7 or whatever that final score ended up being. Florida State, as you mentioned, has two pretty impressive wins, one against number 5 LSU at the time and number 16 Duke at the time. And then, as you mentioned, with Washington and Oregon, Washington's best win is Oregon, which might be the most impressive win in the country, but they just don't have the rest of the resume to back that up at the moment. And then
they're going to get it in these next few weeks.
They have in each of these teams, and that's kind of where we say these initial rankings don't mean a damn thing at this very moment, because each one of these teams have important games coming down the stretch. Georgia has, what has turned into a very hard schedule to finish here. They've got 3 ranked teams left. Michigan has 2. Washington has 3, I think, and Oregon's got a couple. So we're going to see about all of these teams in the next couple weeks. I just wanted to point out here before we move on into the games this week. We'll go here with the top 4 right now. Strength of schedule. Ohio State's strength of schedule ranks number 15. Georgia's ranks 100th, and Michigan 112th. Florida State 49th. So something to keep an eye on there. Ohio State by far has the highest rank strength of schedule out of the 4 there. Strength of record. Ohio State has the number 1 ranked strength of record. Georgia has the number 7. Michigan has the number 9, and Florida State has the 2nd ranked strength of record. In this game control metric that ESPN has pointed out here,
Chappy stats.
Ohio State is number 2 in game control, Georgia number 9, Michigan number 1, and Florida State number 8, followed by Washington with 3 and Oregon at 6. So that game control stat seems to be one that the committee likes, and that one, it kind of paints the picture there. That's really
is that exactly what it sounds like? Just like how in control of the game they were.
Yeah, I think it's comes down to.
Was there ever any doubt?
Yeah, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and that to me, with the way that Ohio State's offense is down this year, they still have the second ranked game control of the season to this point, and I think that points more towards the defense than it does the offense. But still, nonetheless, people have this narrative that Ohio State is barely winning or hasn't been that good or whatever. But when you look strength of schedule, record, and that game control metric, along with those 2 wins, that's why Ohio State is where they are right now. Obviously, it's not the Ohio State offense that we've come to know over the last 4 or 5 years. However, they've been able to get it done, and that's really all that matters. Last set of stats that I have here is the ESPN FPI. All of these numbers, by the way, I pulled from ESPN directly. FPI rankings has Ohio State at 1, Michigan at 2, Alabama at 3, Oregon at 4, Penn State at 5, Penn State at 5, Georgia at 6, Florida State at 7, and Washington at 14. So, with those rankings, you kind of get a better picture of how the top, 6 shook out. Again, these initial college football playoff rankings don't mean anything. So, the story is win out and you're in. Win and everything takes care of itself. So before Georgia and Michigan fans and Florida State fans get their panties in a wad, win out and everything will take care of itself. Ohio State plays Michigan last game of the regular season, so everything will come. Everything will be on the table there.
I'm gonna say there's
assuming everything goes the way it should. So
preview, I don't think they will, but
yeah, we'll see what happens. But that's the college football playoff initial rankings. That's what we're looking at here. So we'll move on into what they're doing this week. Number 6, Oregon versus Cal. Oregon's got to win out, as we said. What do you think about the Ducks versus Cal?
Yeah, it's Oregon minus 24.5. They are very difficult to beat at home. So yeah, they're going to win this and they're going to cover that. That's all I got
Yeah,
to say about them.
yeah, I agree. Oregon is a very tough team at Autzen Stadium, and they need to win, and I think they will get that done. Moving on up, number 5, Washington at number 20, USC. So again, that's a team that USC has tumbled in the last couple weeks, not playing well. Their defense is putrid, and Washington should exploit that. It is at USC though, so we'll see what happens there. What do you think about the Huskies in that one?
Yeah, they're only favored by 3. So yeah, I do think this has a lot of potential for a shootout between Michael Penix Jr. and Caleb Williams. I trust Washington's defense to get timely stops over USC's though. Like, I don't think you find anybody else in the country who wouldn't. So yeah, give me the Huskies in this one. Be interested to see. They have some worthy competition more than these past 2 weeks, so maybe they'll wake up and not play as sluggish as they have been and try to jump up in these rankings. But yeah, give me Washington.
Yeah, I like Washington in that one as well. Give me Washington's offense over USC's defense every day of the week. So I think Washington gets that one done as well. Up into the top 4, number 4, Florida State at Pitt. Florida State has, a game like this in which they should win. They struggled in a game similar to this earlier this season at Boston College. What do you think about the Seminoles and their visit to Pitt?
Yeah, it's FSU minus 21.5. I think they'll win that. Don't know if they'll cover. That's a lot of points. I know it's a conference game, but yeah, Florida State looked good last week on the road at Wake. So hopefully they can keep that momentum rolling because they're a very good team and primed to go to the ACC championship and represent the ACC in the college football playoff. They just got to keep it rolling.
Yeah, I like Florida State's chances in this one. Just got to, keep focused and get the job done there. Moving on up, number 3, Michigan versus Purdue. As we mentioned, they're not really where they thought they would be in these initial rankings. They feel like they should be number 1. There's a lot of stuff going around with that program. What do you think about Michigan versus Purdue?
Yeah, I mean, like we said 100 times, these rankings don't mean anything. Just win your games, and it'll all take care of itself. And they're minus 32.5, and they're going to win this week.
Yeah, it's not a very good Purdue team. So, Michigan should not have any issue there. I think they win that game, and I think they win that game comfortably as well. Moving on up, number 2, Georgia versus number 12, Missouri. Missouri, man, they have done nothing but impress and prove people wrong all season long, and they have their biggest game of the year staring them in the face this Saturday, a 3:30 kickoff versus the 2-time defending national champions. What do you think about the Bulldogs versus Missouri in this one?
Yeah, we're going to find out about Missouri in this one for sure. Bulldogs are favored minus 15.5 in Sanford Stadium. We know that's a tough place to play. Give me the Dogs to keep it rolling. I just think I think Mizzou might be in for a rough awakening. Georgia looked good last week. Really didn't have any problems with Florida. Carson Beck has had a pretty good last few weeks. He's starting to get chemistry with guys not named Brock Bowers. Their defense is a typical Georgia defense. They have playmakers everywhere. So yeah, give me the Dogs in this one.
Yeah, I think Georgia gets it done too. Being at Georgia really, I think for me is what swings this one here. I'd like Missouri's chances a lot more if it were, at home. But I think Georgia is starting to play good ball again. Not that they haven't been, but they look like Georgia, and that defense looks like Georgia, and they're starting to figure it out. You wonder if this is a game where they'll miss Brock Bowers just for the sure hands and the playmaking ability there. But we'll see if it even comes down to that. Should be an exciting one in Athens. And then number 1, Ohio State visits Piscataway, New Jersey for a riveting matchup with the 6-2 with the 6-2 Rutgers Scarlet Knights and old friend Greg Schiano there at Rutgers. I personally, obviously you want your team to be number 1 and all that, good stuff. I hate Ohio State being number 1. just for the, complacency and stuff like that could creep in. However, I don't think that will be an issue for Ohio State. What could be an issue for Ohio State could be some injuries. Kyle McCord has a bad ankle. Lathan Ransom is probably going to miss this week as well as next week with an injury. Big time, subtraction there for Ohio State's defense. Denzel Burke is back and played well last week. Emeka Egbuka did not play last week, though Ryan Day said that he was ready to. So we'll see if he makes an appearance. Travion Henderson came back from injury last week and looked incredible for Ohio State. So a lot going on there. What do you think about the Buckeyes at Scarlet Knights?
Oh, yeah. Buckeyes are favored minus 18.5. I think Rutgers is like 6-2, so they'll definitely get up for this one. Maybe give Ohio State a challenge for a quarter and a half, maybe the first half, but kind of like Wisconsin did last week. But Ohio State will blow the doors off in the second half and get the win.
Yeah, Ohio State has to start faster in the first half, and that just is what it is. The defense, in my opinion, is one of the best, if not the best, defense in college football. Just playing really well. The defensive line is starting to suffocate and get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. You've got about 6 dudes on that defensive line that are legit players. So it's it all comes down to the offense and starting quicker than waiting on the midway point of the first quarter to score. So Kyle McCord is got to stay upright and deliver that ball to the right people, i.e. Marvin Harrison Jr. And keep that offense moving and score some points and get a big win. So Ohio State is in prime position. They are number 1 in the initial college football playoff rankings, and now is the challenge of being the first one to win a national championship after starting the initial rankings at number 1. So a lot going on in college football. It's getting to the good stuff. It's exciting. This is what as a football fan, as a sports fan, this is exactly what you look forward to every single year. Hate that the season's almost over, but it is starting to get exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun from here on out. We will take this opportunity. Oh, wait, I had an interesting fact.
What's your interesting fact?
Michigan, in their last 16 bowl games, 3-13, including 0-6 in their last 6. So I kind of missed my opportunity to put that in there, but I thought that was an interesting fact, and that's what I had written down. I didn't want to
be something if they break that record this year and then it gets vacated.
That would be absolutely hilarious, and
you can find solace in that.
That would be the most incredible ending to what is sure to be an incredible 30 for 30 here in a couple of years. So yeah. Anyways, that's my interesting fact. Another interesting fact, in last week's NFL picks, your boy went 10-6, and I am now sitting at 67-55 thus far in this NFL season with my picks. What say you, Rostradamus?
I went 12-4, and I'm sitting at 74-48 now.
Not bad for the first year of these picks here. So we'll look to keep it rolling. Why don't you lead off this NFL discussion and send us home here, buddy?
All right. Well, we'll start off with Thursday night football. We got Tennessee Titans at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Titans got a big win last week against the Falcons at home. And I texted you, I did not have Will Levis throwing 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in his debut on my October 29th bingo card.
I don't think anybody did.
He looked good, and I think no one was happier about that than DeAndre Hopkins, who had 3 of those 4 touchdowns. Kind of reminding people that he exists. He's out in Tennessee. I honestly forgot. I forget about that from time to time myself.
You and me both.
And then the Steelers also got a win last week. Again, wait, did they? Or am I wrong? No, they. Oh, no, excuse me. They lost to the Jaguars. I was thinking of the week before. Yeah. They lost to the Jags at home. I think Mitch Trubisky. I don't know if Kenny Pickett got hurt or not, but regardless, Mitch Trubisky ended up coming in. I think I just heard a gigantic sigh from all of Terrible Towel Nation right there. But I think the Steelers are still like 5-3, 4, something like that, like or hovering around 500. So they're treading water right now, and yeah, they're favored -2.5 in this one. So yeah, give me the Steelers being at home on prime time. Give me Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that one too.
TJ Watt's going to give Will Levis a introduction to the NFL, I think.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Steelers as well. I don't think anybody, even the most diehard Titans fan, thought that was coming from Will Levis, and he will have his hands full this week with TJ Watt, as you mentioned. And I think the Steelers just got Cam Hayward back too, so that's another bit of juice on that defensive line. So have fun with that, Will.
Yeah, and next we got a game in Frankfurt, Germany, Sunday morning. The Dolphins versus the Chiefs. Kansas City -1.5. Chiefs coming off a stinker last week, lost to the Broncos. Dolphins coming off a win. They beat so many games I can never remember. Oh, they beat the Patriots. Patriots put up a little bit of a fight though. But yeah, this one, I think the Chiefs are the home team in this one. Not that it really matters. But yeah, give me the Dolphins in this one. I don't like the way the Chiefs have been playing the last few weeks. I know Mahomes was dealing with, I think, the flu in last week's game, but still, even before that, the first few weeks before that, I don't like the way Kansas City's been playing. They seem to be a little bit just fighting it right now, and you kind of felt that loss is coming. But I think it keeps coming this week against a powerful Dolphins offense.
I like the Dolphins as well. I don't really like what I've seen out of the Chiefs at all, really all year. I mean, they've had, some bright spots in there, but there's been a lot of games that that were a lot closer than they should have been. So I will echo that. I will take the Dolphins in that as well. I don't think that their struggles are going to get any easier, with having to go overseas and play that game in a weird week. So I'll take the Dolphins in that one.
And Tyreek Hill also made history on Sunday, becoming the first receiver to have 1,000 yards in 8 games.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
So, pretty impressive. Could get 2,000 yards for the end of the year. So
yeah.
That'll be something to watch. Next up, we got Chicago at New Orleans. Saints favored -8.5. The Bears lost as expected last week. They lost to the Chargers on Sunday night. And then the Saints, I believe they won. Yeah, they beat Indianapolis in Indianapolis. Close game there. Yeah, give me the Saints in this one. I don't know if Justin Fields will be back this week or not. Even if he is, give me the Saints and that defense in the Superdome.
Yeah, give me the Saints because there is nothing good about the Bears. And that's all I have to say about that.
And next, we got the Buccaneers at the Texans. Both teams coming off losses. Buccaneers lost Thursday night to the Bills last week, and Texans lost to the Panthers last week. Houston -3 in this one, being back at home. CJ Stroud had kind of a rough week last week, so look for him to bounce back this week. Buccaneers kind of struggled for the majority of the game against the Bills last week. I don't know if you saw it at the very end of that game, but Baker's Hail Mary that would have, I believe, tied the game at 24. If Chris Godwin would have just turned around, it would have fell right in his hands.
I did not see that, but that was very.
Yeah, if you get a chance to go look at it, because this thing went literally in a triangle. It went straight up and straight down. If it would have put a hole in the Jumbotron at the Cowboys Stadium if it would have been in Dallas.
right at the bottom.
Like there's a crater that deep in the Bills. They had to, the ground crew had to fix a divot that deep because the ball landed directly on the point. So
Jesus.
Perfect spiral too.
Well, that's impressive that they had to fix the divot because I think that field is turf. So Good on you, Baker.
Regardless, there was a crater in that end zone at the end of that game. But back to this one. Give me the Texans at home. Take CJ Stroud to get a bounce back win at home this week. Houston.
Yeah, I think Baker and the Bucks got off to a bit of a hot start that was maybe, kind of over what their capabilities were. Their offense hasn't looked very good in the last couple of weeks. I know you mentioned they put up some points last week, but it just kind of it's week by week to me. And I think you're right with the Texans being favored, being back at home. A bit of a rough game for CJ against that Panthers defense, who made his life pretty difficult last week, and put some pressure in his face. So we'll see what happens there. But I think the Texans get a bounce back win at home.
Next up, we got the Cardinals at the Cleveland Brownies. Both teams coming off losses last week. Cleveland really, really tough loss at Seattle, and then the Cardinals lost. I think they lost to an NFC West team. Amateur hour. No, Ravens. We're gonna get better, I promise. They lost to the to be seen. Lost to the Ravens. So yeah, but is Deshaun gonna be back this week?
I doubt it.
It's a moving target at this point, it seems like. But PJ Walker has been he does have some, like I told you, back-breaking turnovers, but he also he's doing his part. Distributing the ball. You got the run game, but yeah, I think the Browns are going to win this game off the backs of their defense. They're probably going to have to do the majority of the year until Deshaun comes back, and whether or not he's Deshaun when he comes back. But yeah, give me the Browns and their defense against a bad Cardinals team this week. Yeah,
I think what is the status of the Cardinals quarterback situation? I think
it's going to be
they saying that
Hudson Card kid if Kyler can't go.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I was.
That's not a really good game for Kyler to come back to, in my opinion.
Yeah, not against that defense.
Because Myles Garrett equals 2 Kyler Murrays.
Well, and Zadarius Smith on the other end of that defensive line is that sucks. But no, I don't have to play him. They do. So give me the Browns.
Next up, we got Commanders at Patriots. Commanders. God, I'm so bad. Commanders lost to the Eagles. I thought it was. Just wanted to make sure. Commanders lost to the Eagles. Packers, I believe they were off last week.
Oh no, they lost. Yep.
Oh, that's right. They lost to the Vikings.
The
now Kirk Cousins Vikings. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, Packers, just the wheels have completely fallen off in Cheesehead land. And I don't think it's going to get any better this week, even though they're back in Lambeau. Give me the Rams and that experienced team on the road to get the dub.
You said Rams. I thought we were talking about the Commanders. You meant the Commanders, right?
Oh, my God. I'm everywhere. Sorry. I apologize, guys.
I vowed never to take the Commanders again because they've made me look stupid.
Just let me correct my boo-boo. It's Commanders at Patriots.
So we're not even talking about the Packers at all.
No, we will. We're going to talk about them next.
Commanders at Patriots. Okay.
Commanders at Patriots. New England.
I hate this game even more.
Yeah.
New England stinks.
Well, they've played better the past few weeks. I'll give them that.
The Commanders just traded two of their, probably their best 2 defensive players in Montez Sweat and Chase Young.
For peanuts.
Can they even get any pressure on the quarterback at this point? I don't even know who is left on that defensive line. I'll take the Patriots just because I will never pick the Commanders ever again.
Yeah, Sam Howell the offense had a good game last week, but the defense couldn't stop the Eagles, and now the defense got worse by subtraction of those 2 defensive ends. So yeah, give me the Patriots at home.
Yep, I'll agree with you.
Now that we're back on track, we have the Rams at the Packers. As previously discussed, the Packers stink. Rams, veteran presence, Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, Aaron Donald, Cheesehead, Lambeau, Green Bay -3. I'm picking the Rams. Make your pick so we can move along.
The Packers are favored in that game?
Yeah.
Yeah, give me the Rams.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, they stink. I mean, that offense sucks. That defense sucks too. So yeah, give me the Rams in that one.
Yeah. Moving on to past the 18-car pileup I've left behind me. We got the Seahawks at the Ravens. Seahawks coming off a win against the Browns, like we talked about. Ravens coming off a win against the Cardinals. This one in Baltimore. Baltimore favored by 6. This is going to be a good one, I think. Seahawks are a good team. Geno is really just a great comeback story. They've got weapons. Jackson Smith and Jigba seems to be coming on. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker. Defense is serviceable. The Ravens, they're getting healthy. They're looking like the team. Why I picked them to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. But yeah, this is a tough one. But yeah, give me the Ravens being at home. I think the Ravens are going to flock in this one, as they say.
I will. I think just because of what you said and the weapons that you named for the Seahawks, and kind of the way that team has, the team, the organization, the coaching staff, they've all rallied around Geno Smith, and he's really breathed new life into his career. He's breathed new life into the Seahawks, who I think if you would ask any Seahawks fan, they wouldn't trade their position for the Broncos at all after they parted ways with Russell Wilson. So they're a little bit of a new life in Seattle, and I'm going to take the Hawks in that one.
All right.
I like what they have on offense. As you mentioned, their receiver room is unbelievable, and if Jackson Smith and Jigba can find a way to become a more important mainstay in that offense, and if they can find a way to get him the ball, he had the game-winning touchdown against the Browns last week. So I like the momentum that the Seahawks are building. So I'll take the Seahawks to go into Baltimore and get a big win.
All right, I like it. The Battle of the Birds.
Call.
Ah! Next, we got the Vikings at the Falcons. Vikings coming off the win, like we talked about in said pile-up against the Packers. Falcons dropped the game to the Titans last week. Atlanta favored -4.5 in this one. Most of you may know, the Vikings are going to be without Kirk Cousins now. He tore his Achilles. Really hate that for him. He doesn't really get injured, and he's a good quarterback too. People like to give him shit, but Kirk's a solid quarterback. I know in the playoffs he kind of fades, but he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. So it's going to be tough without him now. I know they traded for Josh Dobbs, so I'm sure he's probably going to be the starter now. And they don't have Justin Jefferson still either. So yeah, give me the Falcons at home. I know they're going to roll with Taylor Heineke. They benched Desmond Ridder, which is probably a smart move. Taylor Heineke, he's a tough guy, man. He showed it with the Panthers. He showed it with the Commanders. He may not be the best, but what he lacks on skill, he makes up for in toughness. And I think the Falcons in that running game are going to get the dub at home this week.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor Heineke is kind of a chip off the Ryan Fitzpatrick block with, he'll come in and he'll give you, 5 or 6 really good, hard-fought, well-played games. And that's kind of what the Falcons are going to look for here, to kind of open up that second half-ish.
Yeah.
We're not quite halfway. Are we halfway in the NFL season?
Well,
getting close.
8.5. Half of 17 is 8.5. So 9 is more than 8.5. So
quick math would lead to okay. Anyways,
this has been quick math by John Ross Gaddy.
I like the Falcons here as well. Just tough scenes for Minnesota and Kirk Cousins, and as you mentioned, a good guy, a good quarterback, and you hate to see injuries of that magnitude to anybody, regardless of what team or how you feel about that person. It's just you never want to see anybody go out there and get hurt, especially in the manner that he did. So, it's a tough one, but I'll pick the Falcons there as well.
Next up, we have the Colts at the Panthers. Colts coming off that loss last week to the Saints at home. And then the Panthers, like we talked about, coming off their first win of the year against the Texans. Ugly win, but a win nonetheless. Indy favored -2.5 in this one. They've got a lot of injuries in their secondary this week. Gardner Minshew is like Taylor Heineke. He's a serviceable backup. He can go in and get you a win. And then they've got Josh Downs, who's really coming into his own at that receiver position. Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor starting to get going. And the Panthers on the other side, starting to get guys back from injury. Von Bell should be back this week to hold up that safety position. J.C. Horn's still probably going to be out for a little bit. But this one being at home, I'm probably going to regret this. Give me the Panthers to get their second win in a row. Bryce keeps getting better every week. I think he'll benefit from a banged-up Colts secondary this week. And, yeah, just keep Miles Sanders out of the offense and good things happen.
Yeah,
it's true.
Listen, as Miles Sanders fantasy owner, I would agree with that. I actually spent a draft pick on that guy, which –
Did you see the video I sent you of the 4th and 2 that we converted on our last drive?
Yes.
If Miles Sanders would have screwed up that catch by Adam Thielen, I would have called in the National Guard on him.
to remove him from Charlotte.
Shout out to Thielen, man. What concentration, thinking your own teammate's about to catch that and still have the concentration to catch that ball. So, yeah.
All that being said,
Frank Reich revenge game.
Yeah, all that being said, Indy's secondary is banged up. However, I think they are coming along nicely on the offensive side of the ball. This being against Gardner Minshew, and I think that does play a part here. I still don't like the Panthers as a whole. But I think being at home will help, and I think the Panthers do ride a little bit of momentum, and I think Bryce will continue to put games together, especially down the stretch here, and get some, very valuable experience. Every rep is important for him at this point, so yeah, I mean, he's going to need to start to figure out how to win some games, and hopefully the Panthers coaching staff will put him in a position to do so. So I think the Panthers get their second win in a row here.
Yeah, shout out Thomas Brown, offensive coordinator, first game. Calling plays, resulting in the dub. He's going to get more comfortable as it goes along. Looking forward to that. And shout out Frankie Louvu.
Oh, man.
He's a beast.
Yeah,
I have not seen a
linebacker.
I have not seen a linebacker in a Panthers uniform play this well since number 59. Not saying he's Luke, but Frankie Louvu is legit. And
he played his ass off on Sunday.
He's everywhere.
That was fun. That was fun to watch.
Yeah. But yeah, moving on. We got probably the game of the week. Cowboys at Eagles, big NFC East matchup. Philly coming off the win against the Commanders, and then the Cowboys coming off a really big win against the Rams last week. Both sides of the ball looked really good. Philly, the offense looked really good. Defense kind of struggled, gave up 4 touchdowns to Sam Howell at home. But yeah, Philly -3. This one being at Lincoln Financial Field. Give me the Eagles. I trust Jalen Hurts more than I trust Dak. I think both these two teams hate each other. It's definitely a rivalry game. I think the Eagles will be very fired up for this one. I think they get the win.
You took the words literally right out of my mouth. This is a game where I kind of, when it's like talent for like talent, to me, I think you look at the quarterback position, and that is not like talent for like talent. I will take Jalen Hurts 8 days a week before I take Dak Prescott. I think, Jalen Hurts' ability to get the ball to his playmakers, and, good Lord, that catch that A.J. Brown made last week was unreal. So, Philly, their offense has kind of struggled to start the season, but I think they'll be able to put something together, and I think they're about to find their stride, and I think the Cowboys are going to be a victim here this week. So I think the Eagles get it done. Yeah,
big matchup in the Eagles secondary. Darius Slay, James Bradbury, Kevin Byard should start playing now too. Just another fleece of a trade or free agent signing by Howie Roseman. I don't know how he keeps doing it, how they keep getting away with it, but yeah. Versus CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Jake Ferguson, all those boys. So, Eagles fly in this one.
Yep.
Next up, we got the Giants and the Raiders.
I think Vegas. Both teams could win this, or both teams would lose this game like simultaneously. This might be a tie.
Maybe, yeah. Giants lost the Battle of MetLife last week in overtime, 13-10 to the Jets. Raiders lost this past Monday. God, I'm blanking. They played the Lions. Yeah, the Lions. Jimmy G officially got benched today. So Aiden McConnell, whatever his name is, he's going to be the starter going forward. If you're wondering what that noise is, it's Devontae Adams seething. I'm shocked he didn't get traded yesterday. He's definitely fed up. And it really sucks for me because he's on my fantasy team. But yeah, hopefully Mr. Mick O'Connell just spams him the ball. But yeah, both teams in a rough spot. I'm not sure if Daniel Jones will be back this week, so it's probably Tyrod Taylor's show again in this mid-off. I really don't know where to go on this one.
Giants. Yeah, I'm going the Giants too. The Raiders.
That's how I picked. Yeah.
The Raiders suck. They're complete disarray. They don't have a head coach. They don't have a quarterback.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he got fired too.
Yeah, the head coach and GM gone. Josh McDaniels fired.
And I saw sorry to interrupt you. I saw something today. I want to believe it's true so bad. So Josh McDaniels is apparently really big into Halloween.
Okay.
And showed up yesterday after the Monday night loss dressed apparently. This is probably fake, but it said showed up dressed as Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders. And Mark Davis apparently took it in stride, thought it was funny, and even ordered McDaniels his Mark Davis's like signature PF Chang dish or whatever, and they ate it together. And then Mark Davis told him to check out his fortune cookie, and the fortune was "You're fired, hot shot." I want to believe it's so bad.
There is probably like less than a 1% chance that is real. However, if that is real, that is maybe the most incredible thing I've ever heard in my life.
I'd go play in traffic if that's what I got fired.
Oh, man. Could you imagine just getting absolutely shit on by a fortune like that? I mean, that's unreal.
I'd never eat Chinese food again. I would. But
yeah, I was about to say, that's really good.
I'd never eat a fortune cookie again, which, I mean, it's just stale cardboard, if we're being honest, with sugar on it.
No. And the fortunes anymore kind of suck anyways, so especially for Josh McDaniels.
Yeah. God, it's the hot shot at the end. Just
oh boy, that is funny. Oh man,
you remember the scene from Happy Gilmore where he goes back to Chubbs? He's like, "I'm dumb, you're smart."
Yeah,
that's Josh McDaniels crawling back to New England to Bill Belichick.
Oh, that's just in case anybody's wondering, he will be on the Patriots staff probably.
He'll never leave Foxborough, Massachusetts again.
No, he didn't want to get on the plane to go to Indy.
He'll never leave for anything. Not even even when it's not football season.
Well, he probably should stay in Foxborough for the rest of his career because that seems to be the only place that he has any kind of success. So, yeah, give me the Giants in a game in which, like I said, could be a tie or it could be 0-0. Who knows?
2-0. That's my final score prediction.
And it's going to be because a punter stepped out of the back of the end zone.
Oh, wow. Wow. If you hit that, go play the lottery.
I might.
The North Carolina Education Lottery. Anywho. Next, we got Sunday Night Football. Bills at Bengals. Big game here. Bills coming off a primetime win against the Bucs. That's what we talked about. Bengals coming off a massive win at San Francisco. Joe Burrow seems to be back. He escaped every single bit of pressure on that one play last week against a very good, even better now that they have Chase Young, 49ers defense. They don't play this week, so we'll talk about them next week.
Yep.
But, yeah, Bengals seem to be back, kind of quieting all that early season doom and gloom. And they're at home against the Bills. The Bills definitely play to the level of their competition. So if that holds true, this should be a good game. But give me the Bengals at home. Give me Joe over Josh Allen.
I don't know if I've made but one pick that was different from you. And that's going to hold true here because I'm going to pick the Bengals as well. Yeah, I like, Joe is looking confident again. He's looking healthy again. He's looking like he can move again, which is good for the Bengals offense. Obviously, Jamar and T and Joe and the rest of that bunch.
The whole gang.
Yeah, they needed a healthy Joe Burrow. I think Joe Mixon is healthy as well. But anyways, yeah, I think the Bengals are in a good spot right now. The defense is playing well too, which shouldn't be overshadowed. So I think the Bengals get a big win here. All season long, it's felt like there's been something off with the Bills, and I think that will kind of rear its ugly head again this week in a game which could go either way. Big matchup, Sunday Night Football. Lights are on, lights are bright. Give me Joe Burr.
And last, Monday Night Football, which is a game I think we could differ in picks on. Chargers at Jets. Chargers got the win Sunday night against the Bears. Jets got the win against the Giants last week. LA's favored by 3 in this one. I am probably going to regret this because they bite me in the ass every time I pick them. Most of the time, I'm going to pick the Chargers. I do think the Jets defense could steal this game. I think it'll keep them in the game, but I just trust Justin Herbert a little bit more than I do Zach Wilson.
Yeah, and I like, I don't know. Zach found a way to get Garrett Wilson the ball last week, and that pays dividends. So you're going to have to continue to do that. Need a little bit more out of Breece Hall. I think, he's had a kind of down last couple of weeks. So, if you could get a little bit more out of Breece Hall and continue to find the playmakers on offense and not turn the ball over, that's the biggest thing for Mr. Wilson there. Just don't turn the ball over and, give the defense a chance to keep you in the game. So where'd you say this one was again? Is this in
New York? Yep.
I don't know, man. I'll take the Jets.
All right.
I don't feel good about it. I wouldn't have felt good about picking the Chargers either because, like you said, they leave you out to dry every week. So, don't love the Jets pick there, but I'll take it. And I think that video, I don't know if you saw, of Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball was what the hell is that, dude? I mean, good Lord, he looks like he, could play tomorrow.
He's got a bionic leg.
Unreal, man. Unreal. That guy just, he's crazy. He's Aaron Rodgers. What do you expect? I don't know. So hopefully, I mean, and this is a game that, if the Jets want to give Aaron a chance to come back and play at the end of this year, like he says that he will, they're going to have to get in playoff contention. So this is a game that the Jets have to win if they want that to happen. Selfishly,
it's probably going to have to be a wild card too. They're not catching Miami.
Yeah, no. And, selfishly, I would love to see Aaron make that comeback story and play in the playoffs should that, be an opportunity for him. So, I'll pick the Jets in that one.
All right. Yeah. That's it for this week's NFL slate.
We stumbled through it, but we got through it, and that's the most important part. Like we said earlier, football across the board, college and the NFL is really heating up. There's a lot of good stuff coming, a lot of storylines to watch, a lot of things to keep an eye out for. As I've mentioned, we made it past the 50 subscriber mark here at High Street Sports. Thank you guys for showing up every week and watching what we put out there for you guys and interacting with us and subscribing and liking and sharing and stuff like that. It all means the world to us here. And we continue to really enjoy week in and week out bringing this stuff to you guys. So we will continue to do that through the duration of the football season and moving into the other sports that we've got coming. So we appreciate you guys. That is not a ceasefire on the calls to action here. We still want you to like, comment, subscribe. Really that would do a lot for us here. We want to do, things that integrate the comments and get the viewers involved here. So continue to comment, like, subscribe, share, be a friend, tell a friend, do all the things and really get this word out there so we can continue to do more stuff for you guys. So thank you guys again. This was episode 23 of High Street Sports. For John Ross, my name is Chris. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks, guys.